What's up, my producer friends? It's David with anothermonsterproductions.com, and today I want to show you how I like to make trap beats. All right, so normally what I would do is I would start with some sort of melody or chord progression and just create a simple little loop of some sort and kind of go from there. But for this video, I actually decided to go ahead and make a few loops, put it in a pack, and then I'm going to give that away for free in the description of this video. So I've got these little loops down here, which you guys can download for free. Just thought I'd give it away as a little bonus. So let's just grab one of these and we'll load it directly into my playlist. So the first thing that I like to do is make sure that I'm just getting all my levels right off the bat. So I'll just go ahead and go into the channel settings here and just turn this down quite a bit. So that's making sure that we have plenty of headroom going on. All right, so then I'll probably go ahead and load this up into a free mixer track and just maybe start adding some stuff on it. I know that I like sometimes throwing a isotope vinyl on this. It's a free plugin, great plugin. And then I'll just mess with sort of the wear and various other parameters to kind of get some interesting sounds. Okay, so that sounds pretty cool. Okay, so once I've got sort of kind of a cool little melody or loop going on there, then I like to add my drums. So let's go ahead and here. I've got this Monster Samples Volume 1 right here, which is a free sample pack that I'll be giving away in the description of this video as well, if you guys want to check that out. Let's go ahead and get a kick going on here. Now, I do things a little bit differently than a lot of people do. A lot of people will use the channel rack to sort of load up their drums and kind of get a groove going on in there. I like to load everything directly into the playlist just because it makes things easier when I get to the arrangement stage and I can just kind of arrange as I go. And it just feels like I have more flexibility to kind of get rid of samples and not necessarily have just the same loop playing over and over again. Plus, I like the visual representation of seeing the waveform. So let's go ahead and get a clap in here as well. Don't forget to turn the volume down. Let's get some hi-hats in here. Now, when it comes to hi-hats, I do like to generally put them in my piano roll just so I can play them out a little bit. And then I'll take this and drag it back a little bit sometimes. Let's also add some hi-hat rolls. Let's also try and get some open hats going on here. So when you load up a sample and you move the crossfade over just a little bit, it's basically a quick hack to make it snap to however long you want the note to last on the piano roll. All right, let's get this kick going. So a lot of up-and-coming producers will ask how to get your beats to bang really hard. And the answer is just, it's all about the mix. It's all about getting all the levels right. So I think what a lot of, at least from my experience, I had a tendency to want everything to be really loud off the get-go. So what I'll do is if, the drums aren't cutting through the mix as much as I'd like them to, instead of trying to turn everything up, I just take this whole loop and just turn the volume down a little bit. And now their drums are automatically going to cut through the mix more. And then we can always turn various elements up a little bit too if need be. One technique you can use to sort of get your kicks to hit even harder, load it up in your free mixer track and just go ahead and add some distortion on them. So we can do, let me try this fuzz preset here and see. I'll bring this mix down a little bit. So you gotta be careful sometimes with this. I mean, that gives it a little bit more crunch, but a lot of times if you add distortion on your kicks, it can lose a lot of that body and that low end that you want. So just be careful when you're adding stuff like that onto it. You could also potentially look at the EQ and fix some of those problems with that. I don't want to spend too much time on the kick, but I think that's sounding pretty nice right there. All right, so let's go into our channel rack. And what I want to do here is just kind of a little bit of panning back and forth. So this one I'm gonna pan that way, this one I'm gonna pan that way, and I'll pan this one a little bit. All right, so something's just not really meshing with these hi-hats. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and route this to a free mixer track as well. And I have some options here. Sometimes I like to add some fruity stereo shaper, and this can give it a little bit of width. Now this hat in particular I'm not really feeling it. Let's see if we can maybe make this like more lo-fi sounding. I'll just add an EQ on it, and I'm gonna just do like a radio effect, bring this down a little bit. All right, so let's move on to our 808s. Let's just go in here to this sample and we will find a nice sample in here. That sounds pretty nice. All right, let's bring this into our piano roll. So I think we're in the key of D minor. Let's see if these 808s are in tune. They sound like it. So let's see if I can bring this down an octave. All right, so again, let's go into our channel settings here, and we'll just mess with the crossfade just to cut that off where we want it. So one thing I'd like to mention is that when it comes to trap music, I'm kind of rushing through this, but it's very important. Like, trap music is very simple, but there's like a certain vibe and a certain amount of like bounce that you just kind of have to incorporate into your productions to make a proper trap beat. So we're gonna get there. Right now, this track definitely doesn't have it, but we're gonna make it happen. The 808s is where it's gonna start to come together a little bit. But let's mess with this and see what we can come up with. Loop this. Sometimes it's a good idea to take a look at the spectrum analyzer and just make sure that you're not going too crazy with the 808s. Okay, so I feel like what this track is missing right now is actually some sort of like counter melody, or just it needs a little bit more in the sort of melody type stuff. So I'm gonna bring in some of my presets that I made the other day, and I just want to do like a bell, just like one of these. All right, let's just turn it down a little bit. Okay, and now we're going to bring this into our piano roll. right, so that's already sounding a lot better, I think. Let's add these bells into our free mixer track. So what I think I'm gonna do is just right off the bat, just link this to this, basically what we have going on here. It's our loop, and this has the isotope vinyl. So let's hear how the bell sounds with the isotope vinyl on it. So I like that. I think what I'm gonna do is add even more reverb on this. And then another thing that I want to do, which would be pretty cool, is some sort of like panning effect. So I've got this plugin. It's called Auto Pan by Melda Productions. This plugin's pretty cool. It's another free plugin you guys can get. And basically I can mess with the rate, and you kind of see how fast it's going, but this is panning left and right on the stereo field here. All right, so one thing I want to do is go ahead and sidechain this 808 to the kick. But I'm just going to use volume automation. It's just a very easy way to do this very quickly. So I'll just highlight this section here and then essentially find my 808 and just create an automation clip. And now I can kind of zoom in here and just shape this directly to that waveform. Pretty easy to do. We'll kind of move it there. All right, so now let me just put this over. Every time the kick hits, I'll just kind of have it basically cut out for a second on the 808, just so that that kick punches through the mix a little bit more. All right, so little things like that, just adding a little delay to that open hi-hat. It's just a little trick that you can do to kind of make things come alive, maybe add a little bit more bounce. It's not even necessarily anything crazy or advanced, but just you can be thinking about these little tiny things that you can add. All right, so we're getting there for sure, but there's one main thing about this beat that we're missing, and that is a little snare to give it a little bit more bounce. So let's go into our snares right here, and we're just going to find a nice little trappy snare. Let's try this one. All right, so let's bring this to here. All right, so this is definitely starting to come together. I think it's time we can go ahead and start working on the arrangement of this track a little bit. So let's just add a couple instances of this. So the question is, do we want it to come in right from the beginning? How do we want this intro to kind of come in? Let's just take out all these drums here and see how this sounds. All right, so I think I want a crash cymbal. I kind of want to add a siren on this. I wonder if I have a siren in this pack. Effects, random sounds. No, sirens. That's the one. Go ahead and route this to a free mixer track and add delay. think we're getting pretty close. I think there's some arrangement type stuff that we could definitely do to kind of make it better. I don't want to add too much, but you want to find that balance of like the perfect amount for the vocalist to get on and ride it and like actually feel the beat and not be too simplistic, but you also don't want to go too crazy with it. So what I'm thinking is we need some sort of more effects or like Foley or various sounds. I'm just gonna go into, let's try some chants or vocals first. This might be kind of good. I'll just read this free mixer track. My mixer is super unorganized right now, but I'm not too worried about it because we're not going to go too crazy with this track. Let's try doing a snare fill here. All right, so let's try doing something interesting here. Let's go ahead and go into our loop. We'll bring in a gross beat. Let me go to momentary presets and let's try doing this vinyl on. All right, and then we'll just do an automation clip here. So we'll bring this sort of first part here and just bring this down and then create an automation clip. So we'll have this go in like this. Let's see how this sounds. Okay, so I need actually basically to there. And we'll do another one, see how this sounds. Momentary, vinyl off. We'll do this here, turn this down, create an automation clip. So just basically, you know, chopping out little sections here, just trying to make it kind of interesting throughout so that it's not just the same thing repeating over and over again. And then probably every 8 to 16 bars will bring an element completely out. So let's think about that. Let's listen to this. All right, so I think you guys get the idea. Let's take a listen to the whole track that I have so far, and I think you guys will be able to figure out the rest. Thanks for watching the video, guys. If you liked it, please go ahead, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell notification. That's going to let you know every time I release new videos. Let me know in the comments down below if you learned something from this video. I really hope that you did, and I will see you guys in the next video.